Well, hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to go through a few problems I had with my graphics card in Inzoi. I got the adrenaline. My graphics card, by the way, is a Radeon RX580, which generally, well, a couple of weeks ago was working absolutely fine in Inzoi with really good FPS and smooth gameplay. But since then I've been having all sorts of problems with it being really laggy, juttering with people when they walk looked like they were limping because it was just jumping from one to another, one animation to another, missing out a few in the middle. But what I found out is if you're using this adrenaline, which comes with the driver for the card, you can see you've got AMD Radeon RX580, 2048 SP. It's got 8 gig of RAM, and at the moment not even utilised at all according to that, but it must be using some of it. What I found was, after 2 weeks of messing about with the settings in Inzoi, was this Radeon anti-lag. Now I'll show you what it says. It says, reduces the lag between user inputs and visual responses by dynamically adjusting frame timing. Radeon anti-lag works best in GPU limited scenarios with an uncapped FPS. So I had that turned on. And when I had that turned on, even though my FPS wasn't necessarily that bad, the lag was terrible. So I turned it off now, and now when I start a game, I'll just change a setting in here. Where is it? Switch to scene. Alt 1, Alt plus 1. Don't know whether that'll work. Oh yeah, it does. Oh, only works one way. Only works one way for some reason. Can you put more than one in? I've seen 2. Alt F2. Okay. Oh, Alt 2 rather, sorry. So it's Alt 1, Alt 2. Okay. So I'm still finding my way around OBS. I can set it up now so that I've got all my inputs on there properly. So we're going to start Inzoi now. And this bloody message every time. I did already film this once, but my camera was hiding the counter. So you can see that's really lovely and smooth at the moment. So I'm going to skip the rest of that. Okay, so it picks it up automatically. Alright. So, you know, graphics are really smooth now. I'm getting over 50 FPS. And all because I had that anti-lag turned on. But it was on in default, it must have been on in default. But the funny thing is, it must have already been on in default 2 weeks ago when it was working fine, which is strange. It was actually affecting the clock on my CPU as well, because I was only getting like 600-700 megahertz on the GPU clock. So I don't know what it was doing. So we're into the game now, and we're getting, he's asleep at the moment, we're getting 51 FPS, 52 FPS, but I'm in high settings at the moment. The only trouble with high settings is I get these artifacts on the water. That's the only place it happens, but I get those nasty artifacts on the water. But if I change it to medium settings, it does running ultra as well, but the FPS drops quite a lot. If I change it to medium settings, I don't. So I don't know what's causing that, I'm sure. But in medium settings, I get between 50 and 70, sometimes up to 80 FPS on what is essentially, I don't know, 7-8-year-old graphics card. But I think the main problem with Inzoi is that it seems to be optimized for NVIDIA cards for some reason. They seem to have this thing going with NVIDIA where there was this smart Zoi thing that only works on NVIDIA cards. Probably only works on NVIDIA cards that cost 500 quid. But I haven't got that kind of money to spend on a graphics card. I mean, this RX580 cost me £100. Brand new, not second hand, brand new. And I mean, for the last couple of weeks I've been thinking maybe my card's gone faulty. But I ran a test on it and it all came back fine. I did a benchmark on it and I was getting between 50 to 190 FPS on the benchmark. So yeah, it's really weird. But you know, everything's still pretty sharp, you know. It's not just getting this distortion on some of the graphics, but I'm not the only one getting that. Lots of people are. Apparently they'd fixed that in the last update, but they hadn't. It still does it. Right, there's a couple of things in Inzoi that are really annoying. Oh, he's asleep, isn't he? Well, you can't change the speed once someone's asleep. That's a bit stupid. Well, it doesn't matter anyway. And if you go to the phone and your contacts list, you can't call anyone. I can't even give these people a gift because they don't live in the current region. Right? I spent ages chatting up Piper, and there's no way to tell whether they are local or not when you're talking to them, which is bloody daft. But if I go to the relationship panel right? I can't even call Piper over. If I just choose Zoe again. Really annoying. Oh, it says choose Zoe again now. I can't even call every single one of these people that I've been talking to aren't in this region. They're not in this region. So how am I supposed to bloody interact with them? I can't call her over to my house. What's the point of having a bloody mobile phone, a smartphone, if you can't even call your contacts? It's bloody stupid, isn't it? You know, there's no option to call any of these people. You know, in Sims 4, it doesn't matter where they are. They can be in any world, but you can still call them. Even in Sims 3, if you've been to another world and you've met other people, and you go back to your world, you can still call them. No, it is daft. I just can't understand why this mobile phone is so limited in what you can do with it. I mean, obviously there's a couple of other things that are still greyed out on here, so they haven't finished implementing the phone. But I would have thought the most basic thing to do on a mobile phone is to enable you to call other Zoys. At least call them. You know, it's ridiculous. Really is bad. And you can't even. These are messages from her. I can't send her a message. She can message me and I can reply, but I can't message her. Which is... I don't think they're even doing anything about this in this new update that's coming tomorrow, 13th of June. I don't think they're even addressing this problem. And it is a problem. It's a real big problem that you cannot contact anybody that you've met that isn't in this region. It just says in the relationship panel, well, at least it's come up with Call Zoe this time, but when I call her, it just says Piper Guzman could not be called over because she isn't in this region. She's a homeless Zoe. That is really shit programming. But you know, you look at the rest of the game and you think, well, there's no gameplay as such. Yeah, this update that's coming out is supposed to enable you to have a child out of wedlock. But if you can't call them over, how are you supposed to make love to them to make a baby? You know, because you can't do it. You can't do it on the beach. It's got to be done in a bed. I don't know. Maybe once this mod kit comes out, we'll get some decent mods to add a bit of gameplay to this game. Because at the moment, it's got absolutely none at all. You can't. It's not even a nightclub or a proper bar or anything like that you can go to meet people. And even if you did meet people there, there'd be people from not in the region. So you wouldn't be able to interact with them any other way than coming across them out in the wild. You know, I've met her twice now. Both times it's been on the beach. Here. Or just a bit further up. Or just over here. So I don't know. When, you know, I'm going to keep having a look at Inzoi and, you know, see what they've done. But the next updates, I don't know. Not till August. And it doesn't look like, even on their roadmap, it doesn't look like they're even going to add any gameplay then. You know, what about a bowling alley or something like that? Yeah, there's volleyball on the beach, but you go to the volleyball and there's never anybody there. And you can't interact with the volleyball court. So it didn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense at all, this game. You know, they've tried to shove so much into it without even finishing it off. Finishing off what they've already put in the game. Like the phone. So this is the worst thing about the whole game. The phone. It's a phone. You should be able to call people. And you can't. At the moment this story is going to university, but it's compared to Sims 2 and Sims 3 and Sims 4, university in Inzoi is shit. He just goes to school and he has a couple of tasks to do. At least in the Sims you can actually go and stay on the campus and interact with other students and, you know, do this and that, whatever you want to do. And there's things to do on the campuses as well. But here it's just, oh, you go to school for a few hours. Well, quite a lot of hours actually, I think it was. How long does it last for? Oh, I can't tell from there. Oh yeah, I can. 9 o'clock. Oh yeah, 9 o'clock to... He's actually there till 5 o'clock. But that doesn't quite line up with 5 o'clock, does it? Oh, I suppose it does, just about. It's there from 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock. Which is quite a long time to be at university. You know, normally if you went to university, you'd be there for a couple of hours for lectures. And then the rest of it you would do in your own time, you know. You wouldn't stay at university all day long like that. There's another thing in a glass. Distorts everything. I don't know why they've done it like that. Why they couldn't... I think it would probably be better not to put anything there at all. Just leave it empty with no graphic in at all. Yeah, it's really weird the way they done the glass. Really affects the view outside. Makes it all yuck. You know, for a game that's selling itself on the graphics basically, and no gameplay, just on the graphics. But even that, unless you get up close to your Zoe, as soon as you zoom out a little bit, they just go all blurry. I don't know whether that's been done by design. You know, as if you're looking through a lens and it's gradually going out of focus. And to be honest, I don't think the buildings are any better than they are in Sims 4. Certainly the build menu. If anything, I would say the buildings in Sims 4 are probably better actually. Yeah, definitely, I would say that is. And the build menu is terrible as well. And sometimes just trying to get a roof on a building is practically impossible. You better go and eat something, mate, ain't you? It's a bloody weird house, this. It's got another kitchen, like a restaurant on the ground, on the top floor. Yeah, there's no separate entrance for customers. I don't know whether you could even set it up as a restaurant at the moment. I don't suppose you could, because I don't think I don't think you can set up any kind of business at the moment in Inzoi. It's got a bit. I know it's only early access at the moment, but looking at their roadmap, they don't even plan to include any decent gameplay in it. It's going to be all about karma and crap. Yeah, great. You can drive a car. You can't do that in Sims 4, but so what? Who really cares if you can drive a car in Sims 4? And even if you could, you wouldn't be able to drive it far, much like Sims 2. You just get in the car and then you disappear. So, who really cares about cars in Sims 4? At the moment they're all talking about this bloody fairy pack. Who gives a shit about fairies? All the girls. Oh yeah, it'd be so nice to have fairies in the game. Yeah, right. To be honest, I got fairies in Sims 3 and I don't play them. They're just boring. They can't really do an awful lot. They don't really add an awful lot of gameplay, so, how long will it be before Crafton are introducing fairies into Inzoi without adding any gameplay for them? Which is Sims 4. EA, I'm sure they're not. They're just going to chuck fairies into the game, add another dozen or so bugs into the base game, and I don't know. Anyway, there's a few gripes I've been having. Wants to have a trust building conversation. Wow. Who with? There's nobody here. I think our wants and needs are a bit naff in this as well. Wants to read a health book. Wants to run on a treadmill. We can do that. Trust building conversation. Yeah. I don't know why they have to put this white highlight on everything your mouse cursor over. You can see where your mouse cursor is. You don't need it to. I don't know. There's a lot of shortcomings. I know it's only early access, but there are things that they've put in the game that should work as they would work in real life, and they don't. Why bother putting a smartphone in the game if it ain't gonna be a smartphone? I don't know, maybe in Korea all the smartphones like this. Maybe you can't phone anybody from a smartphone in Korea. Who knows? Anyway, rant over. So yeah, if you're running adrenaline and you've got an RX580, don't turn on anti-lag. Or if you're already experiencing these problems with your RX580, turn off anti-lag in adrenaline, and you'll find that your FPS and your stutter and jitter and frame skipping will all disappear. Because another thing with this, they reckon the minimum memory is 16 gig. Well, at the moment I'm running at 18 gig of RAM. So when I only had 16 gig of RAM, it didn't run terribly well. So I upgraded my system, and I've got 32 gig in it now. But as you can see from this, 18 gig. So it's using 2 gig over what they reckon is the minimum amount of RAM. So anyway, there we go. And my CPU temperature is now nice and steady at 54, well, under 60 degrees anyway. I put a new cooler on it, I'd upgraded to Ryzen 7, but I'd used the stock cooler off the Ryzen 5. But I've upgraded the cooler now to a decent one. It's got 2 fans on it. Takes up a third of the case. But it doesn't go over 60 degrees now. And it was going up to over 90 before. Which wouldn't have been doing it any good. So there you go. Thanks for watching if you did. And see you all again soon. Check out some of my Sim Tour videos. Cheerio.